Why would black men date black women? Before we go into anything else, let's start with a key point. There's a difference between African American and black. I'm bringing this up because this not dating black woman thing isn't as big a phenomenon in other parts of the world than in the United States of America. Go look for yourselves if you don't believe me. Essentially, it all really boils down to the question, why would African American men date African American women? Is this true? How true is this? And if it's the case, why? If not, then where's this nonsense coming from? So what's the difference? I don't really think I would need to explain this to you if you weren't American, but if you are, think about it in terms of sets, if you remember at least that from maths. Black people would be the superset, so that's the big ol' set describing all people with African heritage one way or another. Like, it would be just as stupid to call white people Italians. See my point? African Americans in this video, based on what we just said, would be a subset of black people, meaning a smaller group of black people whose direct ancestors relocated to the US during the transatlantic slave trade. A black person who just moved to America or their direct descendant, so that's your first and second generation immigrants, those I'm not counting as African Americans, as the American influence would be very minimal. That means every African American, or just double A as I'll call them, because this video will get way too long if I don't, every AA will be black, but not every black person is African American. I mean, Kenyans aren't African Americans. So, why does this matter? Why bring this up? Who cares? The African Americans. All you need to do is leave the United States to see that this question is seldom asked by any other subcategory of black people other than the AA's. In Africa, regardless of country, remember it's a continent, there's far less trouble raised on the issue, as the vast majority of local black men would marry their local black women. The ones who don't, the few who don't, aren't even hassled for it that much either. Due to some potential slip-ups of my disguise in previous videos, you've probably noticed that I myself am black. Not African American, just black. As such, I've seen this in person. I've got a German uncle, I've got an Italian uncle, and I've got a Japanese great auntie. You tell me how that makes sense. We're all in great relations with each other, and the black members of our family who married them, and the children whom they've raised. In Africa, it's just generally far less, not completely void, but far less of an issue. As for the noise raised in the US, this could be due to diversity, seeing as there's a lot more in the US, or other factors. To figure that out, we gotta get to the source. So, what's happening in America? Due to where these AA's are, there's a lot of influence of white culture on them. There's a reason why your parents always want to know who your friends are. That's because people in general have their opinions and ideals affected by those around them. As such, AA's generally tend to lean more so towards the left, engaging more with the growth of feminism, celebrating their bodies in revealing clothes, blaming the patriarchy, etc. This would mean that the AA women are hearing more about being girl bosses and needing no man, more than their non-African American counterparts. That will have its effect. However, we cannot neglect their African roots and the paradigms which their ancestors would have brought with them and handed down the generations. This would be the ideals of raising a family at home, remaining ladylike, trusting the husband to provide for the family, continuing the black lineage, etc. What happens when we combine the two? This.
Ideally, my husband needs to be making like $650,000.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Whilst trying to balance the two, the AA female will generally be presented with the conclusion that she must do everything that she can to get bread, even if that means compromising some of her more African ideals and marrying a well-off white man. To enable the provider aspect from her African side, the AA man must step up to this level, making sure that he makes more money than her so that he can still be the main provider for her and a potential family, even if she's earning money herself. After all, that's her girl boss money. The man's the provider. This combination would be more than enough to scare away a lot of potential suitors, especially considering how much money such a girl would take, like $600k a year maybe. This results in one of three things happening. The AA female lowers her expectations to that of an average man. 2, she'll against the odds find such a man who fulfills those requirements. Or 3, she'll remain single. Sorry, just saying it as it is. The latter would then, as influenced by the more left-leaning white culture around them, would either A. wallow in pity as their dream man remains but a dream, or B. listen to the voices of sex positivity around them and attempt to fill that void with meat.
What did he say?
Take that whichever way you want. Neither of these women from A or B would ever meet their dream man for varying reasons. Woman A probably would have just simply given up by now and gone off to go fully pursue her girl boss career. Woman B would be, as we say, for the streets. Realistically, nobody really wants to date women with such high body counts, so they will probably have to drastically lower their standards if they were ever to settle down. Otherwise, they'll probably just default to option A as well. Why am I zooming in on this subset of the AA female population? Not every African American woman is going to go girl boss. This is a minority. Why am I talking about these ones in particular? That's because these are the ones who are making the most noise in this topic, at least on the internet.
Because every black man I've dated, their type was always exotic.
My wife is beautiful.
No, can we actually talk about the fact that I knew that I was going to be a white man that came onto the screen before?
Is the pity justified? Depends how you look at it. On one side, you could say that these women are the products of the society in which they live. This accounts for many different types of people in society, and these women are one of them. They didn't choose their ancestors, nor did they choose to be the descendants of transported slaves. In a study done by Hurt et al. In 2013, 73% of the male respondents said that the black woman's approach to men is misguided, as it relates to patterns of pursuing a man for a relationship and not exhibiting ladylike behavior, e.g. cursing, wearing revealing clothing, setting standards too high, and placing more value on men who can offer material possessions and status, engaging in controlling behavior, lowering their standards to attract a man's affection, and not being approachable. In a couple of street interviews, we'll also often hear about how a lot of AA males tend to generalize and accuse the AA females of also being loud and obnoxious, unlike the other races.
So the question of the day, if you had to choose black girls or white girls?
What I would really choose is white girls, honestly.
Okay, and why?
Honestly, I grew up with black girls, black siblings, and I don't know, white girls just seem more chill, less angry, maybe.
If you listen closely, you'll find that this will almost always be founded on a few bad experiences in dating. A lot of AA women will hear this stuff being spoken about them and be upset by this, obviously. In such a case, yeah, the pity is somewhat justified. However, there's two sides to this. The reason is that there's still also plenty of AA men whose main love interests remain AA females, or black queens, as they're also known.
All right, Cam. So the question of the day is, if you had to choose black or white girls?
That ain't even a question. Black girls all day.
Why?
Cause just black girls just do something to me. Every time I look at a black girl, I get like a little tingling sensation. You feel me?
Okay.
If you had to choose
Yeah.
black girls or white girls?
Oh, that's an easy choice for me. You know what I'm saying? I love my black queens, so you know.
Why?
Why do I love my black queens? Man, they hold you down. They're very confident in their appearance. Nothing will stop a black woman from getting the goal she wants. So if you present her with an obstacle, she gonna find a way around it, and that goes for us. You know what I'm saying? Like they uplift us and hold us down, even when we act stupid and do dumb stuff. So
It is true.
you can't choose anything else other than that. It's the truth.
There's still plenty who wish to treat these women the way they want, although far fewer can match the 350 to 600k standard. Some of these AA females are too busy pitting themselves being disliked by a proportion of the AA male population that they find themselves denying the existence of these men who are willing to try and meet that standard. They'll catch themselves making such statements like, "Black men don't respect black women," because of this. My issue today isn't with not all African American men really respecting AA women enough to settle down with them.
They want to sit around and talk about these black men ain't nothing. These black men ain't that. In the last 30 years to 35 years, black men ain't even been in the house to raise them. So how y'all gonna talk about these young black boys ain't nothing when you sorry the one raised them the last 30 years. You hoes the one throwed us out for welfare and then put us down talking about we don't love our kids and all that. Go down one of my 3 baby mamas and ask me if I'm a deadbeat dad. I love black women, Jamaican black, Spanish black, you American piss on you hoes.
It's rather the odd conclusions I've heard come from this fact. Stop with the black pity. Black men respect white women more than black women. That's a lie. Have you not seen the countless TikToks of ugly white women begging for black men, only to get rejected by a long chain of races, with each one proposing that the next race takes her?
You see this? We want this. We love this. We need this. But this? Yeah, we don't need this.
As a member of the African American community, we would like to humbly decline your offer. Since you don't want your own race, maybe the Hispanics will take you instead. So sorry, you have been declined.
Thank you for the referral on that, but the Hispanic community, we're gonna have to pass on that. You could check the Asians though.
As a representative of the Asian community, after careful consideration, unfortunately, we cannot take her. She will also be banned from ever taking out Chinese again. Though, we will offer her up to the Indians.
After a not-so-thorough examination and as a member of the Indian community, we would also like to humbly deny this offer. Maybe the Egyptians would be interested.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but there's no way. Gotta pass this one back to the white boys.
No. You not seen that? Not even that. But remember that the norm is black men marrying black women. That's the sole reason why there's still black people today. Interracial couples are not that common. The minority who date outside their race are predominantly those who feel forced out by their own race, if they're not successful or attractive enough for them.
Most dudes that I know who date outside their race, outside of our black race, were looked at as lames in the black community. What the story is typically I grew up, I was in my black neighborhood, I didn't fit in, the women didn't want me, I would shoot my shot, and they would curve me over and over and over again. But then when I went to talk to this white girl, she was vibing with me, and we just picked it up and then went from there. So now I date white women now.
All of the men who are snow bunnies, they have mommy issues. Your mother is a black woman, so for you not to like black women, there's something wrong right there. You were surrounded by black women, your aunties, your mommies. That's the disconnect. You want easy hits, just say that.
Regardless of whether or not this is true in your neighborhood, the perception of such thinking does pop up a decent amount. Why? They generalize an opinion on a wider group of people based on a couple of poor experiences with similar people, i.e. in this case, same race. Keep this in mind, as this is a key theme throughout this discussion. Of course, not every black woman thinks like this. As I said before, that's why there's still black people today. If a black man is with a white woman, it's because it is a fetish. If a black woman is with a white man, then it's genuine. Hypocrisy at its finest, if I'm just gonna be real with you. As with the previous point, it's not because of some fetishization that black men date outside of their race when the opposite happens. Remember the white girls on TikTok. Not even just them, but the whole concept of getting blacked, or just the white craving of the BBC, if you know what I mean.
What did he say?
All of this says the complete opposite. Other races, other women are fetishizing the black man. Such a statement is again emotionally driven by pity, which blinds some of these AA women from what's really happening in front of them. Some AA men truly feel more valued by other races than their own, and vice versa.
White men are better than black men.
Why do I say that?
Because black men be bashing black women, but they ain't all that. The white boys do it the best.
They're not running off to find other races because they are particularly pretty or anything. On the other hand, far too many of the outspoken black women on the internet. Can't stress this point, right? Not everything you see online is a true representation of things. Keep that in mind again. But too many of the outspoken black women on the internet are convinced that dating a white man is a quick way to gain privilege, status, and money, because of the whole white privilege thing. Seems very genuine to me. But seriously, stop comparing white women on yourselves, girls. Slight tangent here. From what I'm hearing, it sounds like the average AA woman in the West especially is comparing herself to the plethora of famous white women who either take up extreme diets or undergo several body-enhancing surgeries, or a combination of both, in order to look good. You'd be looking at black men who are probably gawking just because those women are packing bakeries, somehow convincing yourself that they've been whitewashed into preferring white women over black women, and then beating yourself up about it. These women have done many more things than you to be more attractive than you. They weren't born that way. They are celebrities. They have more money than you, which they use to do these things. You are not in the same financial league, so stop comparing yourselves to them. In fact, if you've listened to some of them, you'll even find out that many of them have copied the bum size, shape, hairstyles, or even mannerisms of the black woman or non-white woman in their countries because they think you're attractive. That's literally how braids caught on in the West. If you think that black men find those features to be highly attractive, take 1 second to realize that if that's the case, these women are trying to replicate your curves and your flair with money. They like what you already have. They'd literally be stealing your flow. Why can't you rock with that? They like you. This is literally the reason why so many women go to the beach or buy artificial tanning lotion to get darker skin. They find that stuff attractive. The butt lifts some of them get are literally called Brazilian butt lifts, not American butt lifts. Think on that. The height of beauty in everyday life isn't set by white women. They're not the standard, and definitely not the average one. This whole problem entirely, so the whole black men don't want black women thing, this whole problem could be summarized pretty easily. Stop generalizing people. There's too many people with differing ideologies and paradigms to determine that nobody of a single race can meet your personality requirements. If you're looking for that special black man, he's probably looking for you too, or at least waiting for you. Go find him.